starting with some good news, finally, right?
That is right. Welcome to the program, to the show, to the live stream. We do have good news to report. As soon as we started, New Jersey polls are getting ready to close. That is not the good news. CNN is projecting, and I guess by virtue of that, we are also projecting Abigail Spanberger to be the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Welcome to the show once again. I'm Jesse Dollemore.
And I am Brittany Page. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, we're hoping that there's going to be more good news on the way. I think that there will be. Of course, Donald Trump, last year was reelected, and that was a depressing night. That was a rough time for everybody. And now we've had a year of chaos since then.
A year.
And of course, he didn't take office until January, but we're almost there.
Yeah.
And people have been experiencing the negative effects of a Trump administration, a second Trump administration. And we're going to see that show up in the polls. And we're seeing it show up so far in Virginia in the polls with Abigail Spanberger defeating Earl Sears, who really leaned into the Trumpian approach of cultural issues, I guess is what people call them now. She really leaned into the into that in Virginia, thinking that would be something that people in Virginia cared about. And apparently that's not what is going to seal the deal anymore, especially not when people are struggling with affordability, cost of living, how to make ends meet. Apparently those issues are more relevant for people right now.
These are the two candidates we're talking about relative to the Commonwealth of Virginia election. Abigail Spanberger, former CIA officer. I don't know how much value add that is. And then Winsome Earl Sears, who you see there on the right. Of course, the obligatory posing with a weapon picture for a Republican. The other two candidates that are Republicans in the races we're going to be talking about today, one's not a Republican, although he is endorsed by Donald Trump, and that's Andrew Cuomo. The other is Jack Ciattarelli from New Jersey. Winsome Earl Sears didn't rate, I guess, an endorsement from Donald Trump, being a black lady and all. I guess that's kind of the mark against her in the eyes of Donald Trump. She's still the Republican, and she got trounced. The numbers we're looking at right now are severe double digits, 11, 12. It might end up being 13 to 15 points when everything's said and done.
And she's actually the Republican lieutenant governor. So it would have made sense for people to just say, oh, well, let's elect her and have her carry things forward.
Right.
But instead, the population in Virginia is saying, no, we reject Republican policies. We reject the Republican approach, and we're going to go with the Democratic approach. And there was something I was going to add, and I lost it.
Well, while you're coming up with it, let's have you do this. If you're here, you care about democracy, unless you're a troll. And in that case, I don't know what to do with you. But if you're
we know
here,
what to do with you. We'll have fun with you.
If you subscribe to my channel and you're interested in equality and making sure that everybody has a hand up and everybody else has enough to eat and enough to live on, and that our just basic human decency is championed in this country, you should click the link in the description at the very top of this, if you're on my channel on Dollemore Daily, and go subscribe to Brittany Page's channel. She does amazing work and could absolutely use the boost from members of my audience. Or if you just happened upon and don't know who I am at all, or who Brittany Page is, you should also subscribe. Did you get it back?
No, because I was focused on putting my channel in the chat, which I just did. So I would really appreciate it if you would listen to Jesse. He's so smart. He knows what he's talking about. Please assist him there. But what we're really excited about is New York. I mean, that's one that I'm really excited about with Mamdani. And I think he has run such a positive campaign. a positive campaign really focused on working people. He has been absolutely grinding. He seems like he doesn't sleep, even these last few days where you'd think maybe he'd let up a little bit. He wouldn't need to be out in the streets. He's been out constantly. And he has been singularly focused on the issue of affordability and really speaking to working people's struggles in their ability to pay their bills, their ability to make ends meet, their ability to take the bus and have it be on time, have it show up so that they can get to their jobs, they can get to their appointments, they can do what they need to do to take care of their families. And I really love the campaign that he has been running, and I'm really hopeful that he is going to win. But that, again, those polls won't close until 9. You know what Chuck Schumer did?
I know what he did because I put the clip together. This has been something that's really been concerning to me. It's the direction of the Democratic Party globally. He is the leader of the Democratic Party, being the minority leader of the Senate. After all, we don't have a Democratic president anymore. It's Chuck Schumer. He pretty much leads Democrats. He refused, up until Election Day, even beyond, here we are, refused to endorse the Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City, his home city. And then when asked about it, after he voted, we'll just play it for you.
Questions?
Today is election day in New York City. Did you vote for Mamdani?
Look, I voted, and I look forward to working with the next mayor to help New York City.
I don't know if you caught that, but he says, I voted.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you could hear it, because it also went quick, but let us know in the chat if you could hear it.
That he hopes to work with the next mayor to make New York strong, or whatever nonsense that is. This, look, you might say, yeah, well, it's not nobody's business who he voted for. You might say something that's more friendly or fair and charitable to Chuck Schumer, but Chuck Schumer is supposed to be a leader. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. He wants to play both sides of the field here. He wants to be able to claim, well, I actually did vote for Zoran, or I did vote for Cuomo. You know, that's not leadership. That's absolutely cowardice. And it's very disappointing. Not surprising, but disappointing nonetheless from Chuck Schumer. Again, the minority leader of the United States Senate.
Well, especially because Zoran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee. He
Right.
won the Democratic primary. And so as the leader of the Democratic Party, you should support the individual who won the Democratic primary, especially when that particular individual, Mamdani, is running such a successful campaign. And again, the choices here are Mamdani, who we've already talked about, has run this really optimistic campaign, really focused on affordability, has really propped up and spoken to and centered working people. And then you have Cuomo, who has a lengthy history of...
endorsed by Donald Trump.
Yeah, an endorsement from Donald Trump, a lengthy history of sexual harassment allegations, horrendous handling of COVID. You remember when there was people were calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals?
Yeah.
Do we remember that?
Yes, I do.
And, you know, how did that all turn out? Horribly. He had to resign in disgrace, and here he is. He didn't win the primary. He talked about how he wasn't going to move forward with campaigning because he lost the primary, and then decided to reverse course because I guess power is too intoxicating, and decided to throw his hat in the ring as an independent. And so what are we doing here, Chuck Schumer? You should be supporting Mamdani because of his successful campaign, and also because he's the Democratic nominee. He won the primary.
Yeah, it should tell you everything you need to know. I talked about it earlier today on YouTube and Facebook, that when Stephen Miller has endorsed you to be mayor of New York City, and I'm not talking about Zoran Mamdani, I'm talking about Andrew Cuomo. When you are his chosen candidate, that's a problem. That should be a very big signal to Chuck Schumer that I don't want to leave it ambiguous that maybe I voted for the Trump endorsed candidate, that maybe I voted for the Stephen Miller endorsed candidate. I need to make it crystal clear that Zoran Mamdani was my choice, and the person I voted for the office of mayor in New York City, when there's only one other choice, who's the actual Republican in the race, and that's the red beret Curtis Sliwa, the vigilante guardian angel founder.
He's been through a lot in his life.
Yeah.
He's been through a lot, it seems.
Yeah.
But I think we should get to, because people were able to hear the clips, so that's good. Thanks for letting us know that you were able to hear those. And Zohran Mamdani actually made a statement to the press after he voted. He went to vote in person with his wife, and then he came out and he spoke to the press and just gave a brief statement. We'll play just a little bit of it here for you so you can hear it yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today is Election Day. It is a day that we have been dreaming of for more than a year. And as much as things have changed over the course of this campaign, in many ways it is the same campaign we launched on October 23rd. A campaign that looks to transform the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that's affordable for each and every person that calls it home. And I'm so thankful to the more than 100,000 volunteers who have brought us to this point, where we are on the brink of making history in our city, on the brink of saying goodbye to a politics of the past, a politics that tells you what it can't do and really what it means to say is what it won't do, and to usher in a new era in this city where we understand that we do not get to choose the scale of the crisis we face. We simply get to choose the manner in which we respond. And it is time to finally respond with the urgency that New Yorkers deserve. An urgency that reckons with these same New Yorkers having had to face rent hike after rent hike, year after year. These same New Yorkers having to wait for buses that never come. These same New Yorkers that have to move out of this city when they want to raise a family. And these same New Yorkers who have grown tired of going on Street Easy to find apartments in Jersey City because that's the only place they could consider affording. It is time now for a new day in our politics. And it is an honor and a privilege to be a part of a movement that has fought every single day to bring that day forward. And today, we have until 9 p.m. to say that our time has come. Thank you very much.
Continuing with the theme, he has been so hopeful. He has been so optimistic the entire time. And without the bravado, I think, that you often see from politicians, he's not banging his chest and
he's not mired by the trappings of this fake bullshit, nonsense, toxic masculinity, traditional masculinity. He's just a dude who wants to help out people in the city he lives to make it more affordable and putting forth common sense solutions to do so. He doesn't need to be Mr. Tough Guy like Andrew Cuomo, who's never seen consent that he ever paid attention to.
Well, I think it's a useful exercise, actually, to juxtapose what you just heard from Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic candidate, and Andrew Cuomo, the independent candidate, who again is endorsed by Donald Trump, who failed to win in the Democratic primary and still forced his way into the race to run as an independent. Let's hear the juxtaposition.
You mean going against the consent of the voters?
Yes.
Yeah, he really does hate consent. So which clip? We've got three here. We've got his Trump endorsement. We've got the Dem Civil War, and then his comments acting like he doesn't know about Donald Trump saying that if you vote for Mamdani, you're a Jew hater.
Let's talk about his response to the Trump endorsement.
The president just Trump endorsement. Do you accept it from the president?
The president does not support me. The president opposes Zohran Mamdani. The president believes Zohran
Still won't
Mamdani
say
is
his name right.
communist. He believes he's an existential threat. I believe he's a socialist and an existential threat, and not a dress-up socialist, right? Their school of socialism, this Democratic Socialists of America, government controls the means of production. No private ownership of real estate, abolish jails, decriminalize prostitution. This is frightening stuff. And I think that's why you're seeing New Yorkers react and New Yorkers turn out. I'm offering the exact opposite. Safer New York, 5,000 new police, 1,500 police on the subways. Make New Yorkers feel safe again. You want to bring the cost of housing down, which we have to do? You have to build more affordable housing. It's supply and demand. There's nothing tricky to it. The trick is having the competency and the ability to make the government work to actually build 100,000 units a year. And that's about making the government work, which is what I have done all my life. And that's how you really make change. You make change by understanding how to run the government, tackle the obstacles, move the bureaucracy, move the politics to actually make progress. That's LaGuardia Airport, that's Kennedy Airport, that's 2nd Avenue subway. That's the same story over and over and over. You want to make change in government? You think it's easy? You go and say, I want to make change. You know what they say? You can't. You can't. They give you a list of 1,000 reasons why it can't happen. The bureaucracy pushes back. You have to learn how to make that government work to actually deliver for people.
Governor,
And that's what I've done all my life.
I know you want to get to the goods there because there's so much to get to, but I just want to read this comment from a viewer who wrote, Cuomo doesn't seem to understand that not pronouncing Mamdani's name right doesn't make Mamdani seem small. It makes Cuomo sound like a dumbass.
Absolutely factual. And also, he's a liar when he says that Donald Trump does not support him. He just opposes Mamdani. This is a tweet or a post on Truth Social. Let me figure out how to do the screen share. You know, dumb guy over here. Window.
We can just
Chrome
read it.
tab.
We can just read it. The Truth Social.
Truth Social. Here we go. There we go. Where he says at the end there, whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him. You must vote for Andrew Cuomo and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. From Donald Trump. That's not an endorsement, I guess, according to Andrew Cuomo. That's not he doesn't support me, says Andrew Cuomo. Again, liar.
Yeah, of course. But he doesn't want to admit that he's been endorsed by Donald Trump because that doesn't look good for him. Even though he accepted Eric Adams' endorsement, he was the only one on the stage, in fact, during the mayoral debate about who would accept Eric Adams's endorsement, and Andrew Cuomo was the only one who said yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Donald Trump is so far and apart from Eric Adams, but apparently so.
Well, it should tell you everything you need to know about the candidacy of Andrew Cuomo and the character of Andrew Cuomo, that he and Donald Trump share the same exact donors. It's not the small dollar grassroots movement that supports Zoran Mamdani. It's absolutely Trump donors that are propping up the candidacy of Andrew Cuomo right now. So to people like Amy Schumer and others out there who are voting for the not just credibly accused sexual harasser of women, but the man who has entered into agreements and payoffs and legal settlements with women he has harassed. It's not a good look for these people who are acting as though he's the best choice for New York right now.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind listening to the news because when Mamdani during that debate said that Cuomo got access to her gynecological records, referring to a woman who accused him of sexual harassment, like how does that not move the needle for people?
Yeah.
You know, how do they watch that debate and then still move forward with casting their vote for someone like Andrew Cuomo? I don't get it. And then you have Chuck Schumer, of course, we already talked about him, refusing to say who he will vote for when Andrew Cuomo's been endorsed by Donald Trump. The other one's a Republican.
Yeah.
The other one is the Democratic nominee who won the Democratic primary. Why aren't you saying who you voted for? It should be the Democratic candidate.
It also should tell you everything you need to know about the candidacy and the character of Zoran Mamdani, that not only has Donald Trump endorsed him, not only is Chuck Schumer, the corporate Democrat, never seen corporate PAC money he didn't want to take, Chuck Schumer, but also the mainstream media. We were just watching CNN. In fact, we've got it on silent in front of us with a monitor, and Jake Tapper, every time he opens up his mouth to talk about Zoran Mamdani, doesn't call him the Democratic nominee, doesn't call him the Democratic candidate. He calls him the Democratic socialist with as much disdain as he can muster saying the words. It's just an uphill battle for Zoran, and he has proven himself to have connected with people in the community. It's more than a community in New York City, 8-10 million people. But he's absolutely connected with young and old, with Jewish, with Muslim, with atheists. It's been a wonderful thing to watch. I know there's been multiple times that you and I have watched both campaign pieces and other things from him and been brought to tears. And that's, I'm not being facetious, like really an emotional experience watching his ascendancy.
Yeah, and there was one in particular that he released today that was quite emotional, but we were going to play it, but we couldn't because they were playing Spirit in the Sky in the background the whole time. So Andrew Cuomo did speak to a question that was asked to him after he voted today, earlier this afternoon, where they asked about the divide in the Democratic Party that we're seeing. Speaking of Chuck Schumer not saying who he voted for. Speaking to this divide in the Democratic Party of, is there a pending civil war type scenario within the Democratic Party?
But the international audience, what's at stake tonight?
Well, I think what you're seeing is a civil war in the Democratic Party that has been brewing for a while. You have an extreme radical left that is run by the socialists that is challenging what they would call moderate Democrats. I'm a moderate Democrat. And that contest is what you're seeing here, but you're seeing it all across the country. At one time, the Republican Party had a challenge from the far right, the Tea Party. And the moderates pushed back the challenge from the Tea Party. This is the inverse. You have the far socialist left challenging the moderates. I'm a Democrat like Mario Cuomo, like Bill Clinton, like Barack Obama, like John Kennedy, like their grandfather, their other grandfather, Robert Kennedy. That's my school of democratic politics. And that's what I'm fighting for.
You block your head is right.
All right, Democrats are not extreme socialists. We're not against the police. We don't believe the NYPD are racist. We don't believe they should be abolished. We don't believe in abolishing jails. We don't believe in doing away with misdemeanors. We don't believe in decriminalizing prostitution. That is not us. We are a party of law and order. David Dinkins, great Democrat. First thing he did when he took office, hire more cops, keep New Yorkers safe. So that's the contest you see happening here. I think if the far left socialists were to win, I think long term it would be very detrimental to the future of the Democratic Party. This country is not a socialist country. The city is not a socialist city. The state is not a socialist state. Socialism has never worked anywhere on the globe. Not Venezuela, not Cuba. It's not going to work in New York City.
How'd you go on the ballot?
So I do think it's interesting that
It's very bizarre. Republican talking points.
nowhere in any of his responses, actually, do you hear him focus on the people that he wants to serve and the issues that are important to them. And sure, he was asked about this divide in the Democratic Party, but you can easily speak to the issues that people care about and whether or not the people on certain sides of the aisle in the Democratic Party are focused on those issues, or if they're focusing their attentions elsewhere. And when Andrew Cuomo speaks, he does not center the people that he wants to serve. He's often talking about himself. He's defending himself, or as you heard in that answer, he's defending the identity of the Democratic Party and what a Democrat should look like instead of what a Democrat should do for the people that they are representing.
I mean, he's maligning progressivism, comparing himself to both good and bad politicians on the Democratic side, but pretty solid work from the dipshit Andrew Cuomo. Let's move on to New Jersey pretty quickly here. The race is between Mikey Sherrill, Navy pilot veteran of the United States Navy, obviously, and endorsed by Trump, Jack Ciattarelli. And right now, with about 26% of the vote in, I'm looking at CNN. They're actually going county to county. It's looking right now like she has a 20-point or so lead with roughly a quarter of the vote in statewide. This was marked to be a very tight race, like a toss-up kind of a race, and it's not looking that way. That's fantastic. She's a former guest on this program, and will do Jersey well. She's not as liberal as I would like her to be. She's not as progressive as I would like her to be. But we need to meet these candidates where they are, and a Mikey Sherrill candidacy, a Mikey Sherrill in the governor's office in New Jersey, is a far different animal than a Jack Ciattarelli, who has said he's 100% MAGA, who's said all kinds of things that try to malign her while lifting and boosting the Donald Trump. In fact, I think we have a clip here of the aforementioned Mr. Ciattarelli, or it's just a little news package from a local station talking about both candidates.
Flat tire on the way home tonight, it's President Trump's fault. There's nothing she won't blame on the president, but we're not falling for that. What we'll continue to do is talk about what it is that we're going to do when we win this race in 26 hours.
I'm going to pause it there. This is the narrative that you're hearing from MAGA people all the time, that anything that goes wrong, they're going to blame Trump for everything. If she gets a flat tire, if they get a flat tire, they're going to blame it on Trump. No, the things we blame on Trump are the deleterious effects of his policies. The rising inflation when it was under control, the corruption, the naked self-dealing, the absolute corruption of increasing your net worth by orders of magnitude as soon as you become president of the United States because of donations of $400 million planes and everything else that's gone on. It's not blaming Trump for that which he's not guilty. Right. It's blaming Trump for the things he's doing wrong. Nobody gives a shit about flat tires. Here's the problem. It's that in Trump world, everything that goes right, Donald Trump takes credit for, and everything that goes wrong, even if he caused it to go wrong, it's someone else's fault. And Jack Ciattarelli is doing this very thing, and it appears that the citizens of New Jersey are catching on. Those numbers right now, with 27% of the vote in, 61.7 for Mikey Sherrill, and 37.8% of the vote for Jack Ciattarelli.
Was that the end of the news package?
No. We'll move on now, covering a little bit on Mikey Sherrill.
Sherrill, a Democrat serving her fourth term in Congress, would become the state's second female governor if elected. She's a U.S. Navy officer and helicopter pilot and former prosecutor who's built her campaign around pushing back against President Trump. Democratic governors Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Wes Moore of Maryland, and even former President Barack Obama all came to the Garden State to rally voters for Sherrill. She also plans to focus on affordability and freezing utility rate hikes, require ICE officers to show their IDs when making arrests, and fight against President Trump's tariffs. Sherrill stood alongside Democratic Senator Cory Booker and her running mate Dr. Dale Caldwell last night, promising to fight for everyone.
We're fighting for our kids. We're fighting for opportunity. We're fighting to make sure everyone, no matter who you are, where you're born, how much money you have, everybody has a shot.
You know, it's so interesting that this is what we see from Democrats, actual people who care about their constituencies that they endeavor to serve. They look to better the lives of the individual voter, the individual American. You heard it there from Mikey Sherrill. We have clips prepared that we're not going to play now because it seems that she's already won. The race has been called for Abigail Spanberger, but it's the same thing. Their message is centered on people, making their lives easier, giving them a hand up and a helping hand when they need it. And that is just not the case with Republicans. We're in the middle of more than a month of government shutdown. They're stripping away food assistance from the poorest Americans, 19 million or so of them being children, not being able to know when their next meal is going to come. This is the richest nation in the world, make America great again. And this is what they're visiting upon the people of America. And if not for the Democrats' resistance in this matter, the government shutdown, there would be more carnage, more pain, more health care being stripped away, more increases of premiums. We're already seeing 15 to 19 million people who will lose their health insurance. There's millions more who are going to have their premiums double or triple. This is not just a fight for the soul of our nation. This is a fight for who we are as Americans, what we value as Americans, who we value as Americans. And I can tell you, in this house, in this studio, it's not billionaires and Trump donors. It's not the folks who are donating 15, 20, 25, 30 million dollars for Donald Trump's ballroom. I don't think it's a ballroom. I think it's something else. We're going to have to find out. But it's not those people. Those aren't the people. They have what they need. They will never need for anything. They don't know what it's like to go hungry. They don't know what it's like to spend food stamps at a store. Both of us do as children. We relied upon that for our well-being as kids. It's not just a talking point.
Yeah, and shout out to Concrete Dave. Comment on the screen there. I, like Mikey, voted for her today. Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. And just projected the win for the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. Also, the Democratic candidate is the winner, Hashimi. So that is very good news as well. Yeah, I recently just did a video about Donald Trump's Great Gatsby themed party that he had at Mar-a-Lago, his marble bathroom remodel that he was posting several photos of. All the while, 42 million Americans, including 16 million children, are wondering where they're going to get their next meal, having their SNAP benefits lapsed. And in fact, you know, Donald Trump was ordered by the court to respond and say whether he was going to use the contingency funds that are available to pay SNAP benefits. He initially yesterday said that he would partially pay those SNAP benefits, reducing the amount that families would receive substantially. And then he posted on Truth Social today that he actually is not going to be paying SNAP benefits until the Democrats end the government shutdown, and has completely laid the blame for the government shutdown at the feet of the Democratic Party. And so he's really using hunger as a weapon. And that's what I tried to focus on in my video, because imagine that, having the president of the United States use hunger as a weapon. Millions of people are wondering where they're going to get their food. They're going to food banks. Food banks are running out of food. I talked about it in my video. There's a story of a woman in Georgia who waited 14 hours for a single box of food. Yeah. And then you have these Republican candidates who are just being Trumpian figures. Well, it's not going to work when people are wondering where their next meal is going to come from. And they see that Donald Trump is putting his marble bathroom photos up and partying it up at Mar-a-Lago with, you know, women who are wearing like corsets and doing little
great Gatsby's
and in martini glasses, giant martini glasses. It's disturbing to most people, especially people who are struggling.
While the government is shut down, the family values party, the pro-life party isn't doing everything they can do to ensure that the poorest among us have enough to eat.
Yeah, I do want to highlight this comment from Renee Allgood, but this was related to the Andrew Cuomo conversation that we were recently having. And Renee wrote, "So I was alone. I looked forward to his briefings. He was there for me. He stood up to Trump. Now look at him."
Yeah.
And one thing I want to highlight about this is I've been saying for a long time, where are the Democrats in terms of Democratic leadership holding Cuomo COVID style briefings, the way that Andrew Cuomo used to do during COVID?
Every single day he did.
Right, where he would give updates and he would reassure people, and people did. They felt less alone. They felt supported. They felt like he was there for them. They felt like he was giving them information that they needed to get through this dark time. That's what Democratic leadership should be doing, except singularly focused on the damage that Donald Trump is doing. I mean, printing up those marble bathroom photos and putting them up on a banner and just for hours talking about the party at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, that could really move the needle for people. And you said you didn't want to play the voter who voted for Spanberger because she already won. Congratulations to Spanberger, the new governor of Virginia. But I actually do want to play it because it's a voter who didn't vote for Spanberger and voted for Winsome Earl Sears. And I want you to hear the reason.
Also, be surprised. I'll talk while you're taking that chat down because I think it'll just be layer upon layer. Also, I was surprised because if you look at her, she's got like blue hair. You'd think, oh yeah, that lady's the Democrat for sure. And that is just not the case.
For the Commonwealth and important for the country.
Election day in Virginia. Today's gubernatorial results determine whether a Republican remains in office. This voter thinks continuing current Governor Glenn Youngkin's work by voting for Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears is the way to go.
We have so much turmoil in the nation, so we want to have some stabilizations and stabilities for the people.
Others are dissatisfied and say it's time for a change by voting for former Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger.
Yeah, I think it's very important. The country, it's not doing very well with the current president, so it's important to change things around.
More recently, Earl Sears has attacked Spanberger over her refusal to call on Democratic Attorney General nominee Jay Jones to resign after the release of violent texts he sent a few years ago, including using this ad with footage from the gubernatorial debate where Spanberger does not respond to repeated asks about Jones's texts. It made this voter go with Earl Sears.
The candidate, Spanberger, where she has her head turned and totally ignores the other candidate. That, to me, said it all. That just said it all. If you can't even listen to this lady say who knows what, are you going to listen to the people?
I just love that she thought she was cooking there. She really thought she was doing something with that. Like it almost sounded good, right? Unless you're listening to it carefully and you realize that she's referencing how nuts the things that Winsome Earl Sears is saying. And she's like, if she can't.
She didn't even know her name.
Yeah, if she can't listen to, yeah, it's not great what she's saying, but if she can't listen to it.
Whatever she's saying.
Yeah, whatever it is. I know it's not great. I know it doesn't make sense, but if she can't even listen to that, is she going to listen to the rest of us? Thankfully, that woman was not the dominant voice in Virginia. And actually, the dominant voice was people who voted to elect Spanberger, who is now speaking right now.
Yeah. Let's hear from, do we have any questions or comments we could go through while waiting for some more polling updates from the New Jersey race, which is right now 60.5% to 39% with 28% of the vote in. So it's looking pretty solid. I mean, obviously it's not close enough to call yet.
We've got a comment here from Dirty Dragon 9. Time to get rid of the corporate Democrats like Schumer, Pelosi, and Jeffries.
I agree. I think it's look, Jeffries is just now starting to wake up. He's starting to call, what did he call Mike Johnson and the Republicans yesterday? The pedophile protection program. He's finally starting to speak the way he should have been speaking for the last almost 1 year. So that's good to see. I'm here for it. But I just don't see. It's like, I've talked about this on the channel a lot. It's if you're a Godfather fan and you know when they fired Tom Hagen because he wasn't a wartime consigliere, we need an opposition party. We need leaders who know how to push back against this administration, and firing off tersely worded emails and demanding negotiations isn't going to get it done. We need Democrats who are going to stand up and not vote to forward the agenda of Donald Trump, who aren't going to vote for judicial nominees. Adam Schiff still voting for judicial nominees of Donald Trump, which is going to put more arrows in his quiver, which is going to advance his agenda, make his job easier to do. We need to stop voting for legislation forwarded by Donald Trump, like Alyssa Slotkin did, and so many other Democrats, in empowering ICE to be the 8th largest and most well-funded military on the planet when compared to other nations. We need to stop, as Democrats, helping Donald Trump destroy this country. And if they don't stop, elected Democrats, it's going to be up to us to find other leaders who will step in and do it.
Well, and it's been what, a month of the government shutdown, just over a month,
Yeah.
right? And Hakeem Jeffries just yesterday used the phrase that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are leading a pedophile protection program. And I think you talked about this today in one of your videos, right?
About 3 minutes ago.
Right. And 3 minutes ago as well. And it's disappointing that it has taken this long to get them to play hardball. The first government shutdown, they said, we can't risk shutting the government down. We're going to, work things out with the Republicans. We're going to keep the government going. Thankfully, this time they said, no, we can't keep this going. Why would we keep this government going? Donald Trump doesn't abide by the congressionally appropriated funds anyway. He doesn't respect the process. He isn't caring to sit down and negotiate at all. None of the Republicans are. They're just saying either you open the government or we're going to starve 42 million Americans.
He's disregarding federal courts up to and including the Supreme Court of the United States, many of them of whom he appointed to that office. Why would we vote to make Donald Trump's job easier? Why would we negotiate and allow him? This is a broken government. Look, I feel very terrible for the people who are struggling, whether they be military, whether they be federal workers, whether they be people on federalized benefits. Absolutely, that is terrible. But Donald Trump endeavors to tear the entire thing down. If we give him more power, it's what he's going to use to destroy us all.
You know who's actually doing better than some of these corporate Democrats that we're talking about right now? It's these former Republicans. I don't know if they still identify as Republicans, but people like Bill Kristol. I don't know if you guys follow Bill Kristol on social media or if his posts come into your feed, but he's anti-ICE. He's constantly going on about the abuses at the hands of ICE. And he recently came out and said that he would vote for Zohran Mamdani. He would vote for Mamdani in New York City.
Yeah.
He's to the left, Bill Kristol, of a Chuck Schumer.
Right.
At this point. I mean, Bill Kristol, who would have thought that we would be in a position where Bill Kristol is saying these things?
I've been talking about this a lot. In fact, when I sat down with different senators, Cory Booker being one of them, that specifically had in mind when I talked to him about this, there's a new political order that we live in that we have to deal with. And so many people act as though the old way of doing things is just the way it is, Chuck Schumer included. But it should tell everybody when someone like Bill Kristol, who is absolutely a neocon, he's a George W. Bush Republican, when he is saying, I would vote for Mamdani over Andrew Cuomo, it has to tell you everything you need. I know I keep saying that. It has to tell you everything you need to know. But come on. It is no longer the political order that it was of our parents or even 10 years ago. It is a vastly different landscape. And these Democrats who have been in there for decades need to wake up to the fact that the old way of doing things isn't going to get anything done. It's certainly not going to work.
So remember the big race that we're looking for in New York, those polls close in about 15 minutes, just around 15 minutes. Let's look at this comment from Michael. Still voted Dem across the line this time. Never voted for Don the Con. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, that's the predicament that we've been in. And even in the previous election, where there were many frustrations with the Democratic Party and their refusal to stop funding the genocide in Gaza, for example. But of course, you have to vote for the Democrats, even with all of their frustrations, because the Republicans are completely invested in ensuring that Donald Trump does whatever he wants to do. Their only priority is supporting Donald Trump. I can't remember the last time I've heard Mike Johnson talk about the needs of his constituents.
Oh, yeah.
Many of them are on Medicaid. Many of them are going to be harmed by the policies. Many of them are going to be harmed by a SNAP being cut and gutted. He doesn't seem to care about that. He only cares about ensuring that Donald Trump is protected, including on Epstein.
Yeah, the pedophile protection program that he's running. He's the tip of the spear on that. All issues that you cover pretty heavily over on your channel as a wink, wink, and a nod, nod. Click the link in the description below this YouTube video and go follow Brittany's channel. Go subscribe to it. You can have a moment right now. You won't miss a thing.
I was going to say, I put up this comment, New Yorker 12, wanted to say you're in my top 5 channels. Well, which one? Which one are we talking about here? Are we talking about Jesse Dollamore's channel? Are we talking about the Dollemore Daily? Or are we talking about Brittany Page's channel, the Page Perspective? Which channel?
Or you could, we also, since it's just shameless plugs, I'm noticing that our background is the podcast, which we host and have hosted for almost 12 years, 11 years?
Over 10.
Almost 1,000 episodes.
Metal Mark 1214, the billionaire class owns you, Cuomo.
Yeah.
It is very correct.
So it's so obvious to me, and it bothers me so much that people who are self-proclaimed Democrats would vote for Andrew Cuomo as though he's going to do some. Even the people who say, well, he's got the resume, he's got the requisite skills and abilities to lead us. He failed during the pandemic. Many people lost their loved ones, their grandmothers and grandfathers in nursing homes because of the fecklessness of Andrew Cuomo. It's one of the reasons why he was forced to resign in disgrace. It wasn't just the sexual harassment scandal. It was also the other thing.
So this is an interesting comment from the Shark Pianist. I've noticed that corporate Democrats like Spanberger, who just won the election for Virginia governor, overly rely on negative turnout. They punch down on progressives, who are the only people who use positive turnout strategies. Very telling.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that the problem lies in that we have to deal with what we have right now. And because the political order is different than it once was, we need a Democrat in that seat. We don't want a Trump sycophant anywhere near any governor's office. So I've said this about Mikey Sherrill. I'll say the same. Absolutely. It goes more for Abigail Spanberger than it does even Mikey Sherrill. They're not as progressive as I would like. They're not they're more moderate, more corporate Democrat than I care to have in office, but we got to deal with what we've got. It's a binary choice at this point. It was either her in Spanberger or Winsome Earl Sears or Mikey Sherrill or Jack Chitterelli, both of them radical MAGA freaks. So absolutely, what we need to do is organize one with another to develop candidates, to raise up candidates who are more like AOCs, who are more like Zoran Mamdani's, who are more like Cori Bush, who looks like she's going to run again for the House of Representatives, more like the squad, the true progressives, the Bernie Sanders kind of the element of the party. Our element of the party, it's going to take time. It's not going to be an instant fix, and it's going to take our work as well to knock doors, to donate, to get involved in campaigns on the ground.
It was one of the powerful campaign ads by Mamdani that I watched today. I don't know if it's the last one that he put up. I don't know how to reference it, but maybe it's the one that says our time. I don't know. Anyway, it was really powerful. And part of the reason it was powerful was because in it, he talked about how it's bigger than him, right? He's like, what happens after today? And even if he wins, even if he doesn't win, he's going to win. He talked about how the movement continues and all of the many people that volunteered for his campaign, that he wants them to continue the work somehow, right? Keep pushing, keep doing that community building, keep the engagement going, and how important that is. And, you know, it's much easier to speak to this right now. I remember last year, Donald Trump was reelected. We got a flood of voicemails, emails, messages, all kinds of stuff from viewers who said, I'm done. I'm unsubscribing.
Yeah.
I'm not watching anymore. I can't take it anymore. I'm done. And they tuned out. And part of me was like, okay, I get it, right? You have this massive loss. You have this massive defeat, not in terms of numbers, but emotionally. And you feel the weight of that, and it's tough to face. So you want to take some space from it. You want to distance yourself from it. I get that people wanted to do that. But at the same time, you can't give up when things get tough. And similar to today, we finally have some good news, right? It's feeling hopeful. We are very happy that Democrats are getting elected. We're happy that the public is responding negatively to the Trump administration and their policies and saying, you know what, I'm going to vote for a Democrat. I'm going to check blue when I go into the voting booth. That is good. But even when it's good, that doesn't mean that we let up. Right? We have to stay involved. We have to stay engaged. And I think that's a really positive message that the Mamdani campaign is sending. Even if he wins tonight, the work doesn't stop. We continue. And hopefully his win will be a message to establishment Democrats. We've been talking about corporate Democrats, establishment Democrats a lot. Hopefully it will be a message to them. It will be a message to people like Chuck Schumer that this is a movement you cannot ignore. This is where the party is headed. This is what the people want. They want people who actually will improve their lives, who seek to improve their lives.
I'll tell you what the people want, Brittany.
What do the people want?
Here's a comment right here. Brittany's channel is very underrated. The focus on social services and the poor is pretty unique among all the media I follow. I would agree. I would agree with that. I think you do a very good job that's unique in this space on YouTube. So
yes, thank you. I appreciate that. It was a surprise. So this comment, so far it's been a fantastic night. Exactly. We are feeling very hopeful. We're feeling very good about things. And that is a very exciting feeling, especially when you juxtapose how we were feeling 1 year ago.
Well, can I speak to, I think that for me, I can only speak for myself. I'd love to speak for everyone else, but alas, that's not how it works. I felt very confused. So it's nice that we're kind of realigning in the logic territory where people voted for Donald Trump, knowing everything we know about Donald Trump in 2024. They chose Donald Trump to be president of the United States again, after all of the corruption and the impeachment 1 when he tried to extort a foreign leader, impeachment 2 when he literally attempted to overthrow the United States government by nullifying and overturning a free and fair settled American election where Joe Biden won by 7+ million more votes than him, dispatched an angry, violent, armed white supremacist mob to the Capitol to hang Mike Pence, to kill Nancy Pelosi. And we all witnessed that. And people voted otherwise because eggs were expensive or whatever other effing nonsense it is. So it's nice to see, to getting back to the point, that it's kind of a realignment. People are realizing like, oh shit, I made a mistake. Donald Trump is a dumb fuck. He is ruining shit. And we need to correct the path that we set for ourselves. Virginia is a great example of this, where Joe Biden won by large margins in 2020. And then in 2024, it flipped and those same voters voted for Donald Trump. And now they're coming back the other way, voting for Abigail Spanberger. And this is all in the face of a pretty dysfunctional Democratic Party. And I say the party is dysfunctional because its leaders are dysfunctional. I don't believe we are dysfunctional. I'm hoping going forward, we're going to have a primary challenge for Chuck Schumer, that Hakeem Jeffries will get primaried. We will get new blood, new leadership in those positions, and send a message to the main entity of the corporate Democrats that if you're going to follow down this path and still act like the old political order exists, we're going to find new people. We have to wake them up. We have to shake them up. And the only way to do that is to strike fear electorally into them.
We should say we are just about 7 minutes away from New York polls closing, which is really exciting. We don't necessarily expect results right away. But hopefully the win from Mamdani is so strong that we get it pretty quickly. That's just me hoping, okay? We also haven't talked about that California polls are going to close.
Oh, right. Prop 50.
At 8 p.m. And that's for Proposition 50. And we should know the results on that pretty quickly. Although the polling is suggesting that it's, not even going to be close with that. That is, of course, the redistricting led by Gavin Newsom in response to the Texas redistricting, gerrymandering, we should say, where Donald Trump specifically demanded that the congressional lines be redrawn so that Republicans are able to gain congressional seats.
Now, here's the latest update. We got 32% of the vote in for the New Jersey governor race between Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli. And it's 60-40 right now, Mikey Sherrill. 60-40.
Wow.
That is, I said it was going to be a solid double digits when that race was considered a tie break. It was going to be just a coin toss.
How much
to
of
see
the
who
vote was
won.
in?
32%.
Okay.
So we're coming out. I mean, it really depends upon which particular counties. When we're going to state by state races, it's difficult. I'm not John King from CNN, who's a guy who knows like he can name every county and give you little factoids about every single county in the entire country. I'm not that guy. And I'm certainly not that guy about the elections in the city of New York. I don't know exactly how they count their ballots, whether it be electronic, what kind of laws are in place about when they can count them, when they can report them. So we'll have to kind of rely on CNN and other outlets for that. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Just a Voice says, very excited for the wins tonight. So glad you are covering this. Much love and respect from Canada.
Just a Voice, thank you very much for the super chat. That is always appreciated. Support for independent media in these tough times is a very good thing, and we do not take it lightly.
Thank you very much. Not to put up a competing person coverage, but Renee wrote, I love John King's election coverage.
So do I.
You know, John King, he's on CNN. All right. CNN is imperfect in so many ways, but
terrible in so many ways.
John King is so smart.
Yeah,
he knows every little corner of every little state. He knows what the margins were in 2020 and in 2016. Like, he can speak to the most specific things. He can like zoom in a district in Kansas and he knows exactly what's been going on there. It is remarkable to watch.
And it's not even, what's great about it is, and I'm over here S-ing his D, the John King D. When they do the zoom in on the CNN, their super giant touchscreen, there's no cities labeled. He just points to where they are. He knows where the different elements in the county are at the most granular level. He absolutely is a rock star. And to that point, just because CNN is a flaming dumpster heap, just a worthless piece of shit as a network, there are many good people who work within that organization. Manu Raju does awesome work over there. There are many people on the ground who work for the network. I'm not talking about Jake Tapper and some of the other dipshits, but they're absolutely good people who work there. Just the organization as a whole is pretty toxic.
We have a message here from Facebook. Honey Badger. I have a friend that voted for Trump simply because a very vocal friend of hers told her she had to vote for Trump, not knowing anything about either candidate. She listened to her vocal friend instead of taking the time to learn about the actual candidates. I told her that people like her should never vote, ever. If you don't even know what the platform is that each candidate is running on, you shouldn't be voting at all. I think one lesson that we learn, there's several ways I like to torture myself. I like to watch Bill Maher's Overtime every week.
That by virtue of her watching it, I'm forced to listen because it's usually in another room. And it tortures me too.
I torture myself by watching that, but I like to stay up to date about the reasons that I hate Bill Maher. I want to make sure that they're fresh, they're up to date. That's one way I torture myself. I also torture myself by watching voter panels. So where different news agencies go and they talk to different people that are voters that have voted in an election. And one thing that you will notice if you listen to enough of these is that people generally vote on vibes. I mean, you just heard the woman with the blue hair. She decided to vote for the Republican candidate in Virginia in the governor's race because the Democratic candidate didn't look over at the Republican candidate on the debate stage.
Yeah.
That does not matter at all.
And didn't know the Republican candidate's name even. Couldn't even name her or the thing that she said that was so needed to be listened to.
And so this is really the difficult thing when you have so many people that aren't really necessarily paying attention to policy platforms or factual information, but instead running off of vibes. That's the more difficult thing to get at. And that's why I think it would be really wise, like we talked about earlier, for the Democratic leaders They definitely won't do this, but they should, to hold those daily briefings and really try to capture the public sentiment and control it by sending a message of Donald Trump being this out of touch, wealthy man who doesn't care about them and instead cares about his marble bathroom, his ballroom makeover, and his
Great Gatsby 20s party.
His party that he had at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, there's ways to message these things so that people that vote on vibes get the message.
I think
and
that,
they're not doing it.
I think that some of the problem is that there's too many men in politics, and with men comes these great egos, these powerful egos that they can't just say, look, we're not in power right now. It's along the lines of this particular comment here. And thank you very much, Brutus Magnuson 315 for the super chat. We appreciate it. The right controls all three branches of government, and the American people can't eat excuses. It's time for major changes. I think sometimes, and we saw this with Joe Biden during the campaign when he would thump dudes in the chest and say, if you don't like it, then don't vote for me. Terrible, terrible campaigning. I mean, thankfully he won. But I think it's hard for people like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries because it kind of signals failure on their part to say, look, we're not in charge. We're in the minority. They're in control. We didn't shut down the government. They control the government. They control the legislative branch. They control the executive branch. And they control the judiciary, largely because of all the appointments that Donald Trump got through his first term and this term, and 3 seats on the Supreme Court, making a 6-3 majority. Again, thank you for the super chat, Brutus. We appreciate it very much. How do you get the comment off?
So I will hide it for you.
All right.
So the race is too close to call for New York City mayor, apparently. I'm waiting for initial...
You wanted like 15 seconds after the polls closed. They're like, boom, it's Mom
I wanted it to just be so enormous, the defeat, that it was no denying it, but not so fast. So we'll give it some time and we'll not be so eager. We did get this comment. Oh, we have something. No, those are an exit poll. Okay.
Well, let's talk about the exit poll.
Yeah, and then we'll get to this guy saying that Mamdani is terrible.
The exit polls right now say 18 to 29, Mamdani 75%, 16% for Cuomo, 6% for Sliwa, the beret wearer. But let's get to that comment.
Yes, and this was the exit poll by education. Let's just get to this since it's up here. For those with no college degree, 42% went with Cuomo. For no college degree, 38% Mamdani, and no college degree, 16% Silwa. When it comes to race, for Black voters, 51% in the exit poll went for Mamdani, 37% Cuomo, 5% Silwa, and 3% Adams. Okay, Daniel.
Well, why doesn't Daniel Kaplan ATL? Why don't you write a little longer comment explaining with more than just Mamdani is terrible? That doesn't move the conversation forward at all. Why is he terrible? And who would your choice be? And why, as a juxtaposition, are they great or worthy of a vote?
All right, let's see what we've got here. 36% of the vote in.
Oh shit, they do it quick.
We have 51% Mamdani, 39% Cuomo, with 36% of the vote in.
That is huge. Now, that's not necessarily super huge if none of that vote is coming from Staten Island, let's say. That's kind of the Trump stronghold across the water from Manhattan and Brooklyn. If that hasn't been counted, then he could be in for some trouble. I don't see that being the case. I think this is going to be another 9 to 13 point win that we're seeing along the lines of what we've seen in New Jersey and Virginia. Well, we haven't seen it in New Jersey yet, but certainly in Virginia.
So just to say it another way, with 36% of the vote counted, Mamdani is about 100,000 votes ahead right now. So that is fantastic news. We're hopeful that this continues. Carrie writes, great show you're doing, Jesse and Brittany, and it's so great to see Democrats are back winning in your elections today, watching from Australia. One thing, thank you, Carrie, very much for the super chat and for watching from Australia. One thing that we are always surprised by is how people outside of the United States pay such close attention to politics in America. And Carrie is giving us a good example here in Australia, where if you travel even outside of the country, people will ask you, like, what is going on? What is going on in your country?
We just got back from Japan. We were there for a few days, and everyone we talked to, and we talked to a lot of people, when they find out we're Americans, they ask, a lot of them were just pointing at their head like, he's crazy. This is nuts. What is happening? What's going on in your country? And people are alarmed, from non-native English-speaking countries to more, European-based type countries like Australia or Great Britain. That people are very alarmed at the march of fascism and how quickly it took hold in the United States.
I just want to give a quick shout out here to Mikey. Mikey has been a long time listener, a long time supporter of our work.
We love you, Mikey.
And is maybe one of the funniest people that I have ever met virtually, but met. So shout out to Mikey.
Has the Mom Donnie hater come back yet?
No, but there's been some suggestions as far as what he'll say, like this one here. You can read that.
Yeah, well, if he comes back with nonsense, then we'll just not post the comment, or post it briefly and then tell him he's stupid. I want an actual argument, some argumentation that would level a justification to not vote for him. Just saying he's terrible. He smells terrible. He looks terrible. He dances terrible. What does that mean?
I just want to briefly comment on this from that Opal guy, saying that the critic who came on here and said that Mamdani is terrible, will call him a Muslim, commie, socialist, fascist. And I've been shocked by even Andrew Cuomo leaning into the the bigotry against Muslims. And I'm also disgusted by his use of AI. I think that use of generative AI in a political campaign is automatically disqualifying.
Yeah.
He's been using Mamdani's likeness in AI to create videos of him, like on Halloween at people's homes. That's disqualifying in and of itself. I mean, take everything else away, the numerous things that make Cuomo someone that you should not vote for, that just add that to the list.
Look, I think it's disqualifying for more than just politicians. I think if you're in our business and you're using AI in just about any capacity, it's disqualifying.
Yeah, those AI thumbnails, no
good.
We have this comment. We know how we're doing in California with Prop 50? Not yet, as far as I know. I believe the polls close at 8 there.
No, they close at yes, that's right, 8 there.
Yeah.
11 p.m. here. Yeah.
So we'll be awaiting an update from them.
We will likely not be here when the polls close there. My prediction would be, and I don't know why I do this to myself every time, because I've gotten it wrong with Trump too many times, and it's that's disqualifying as far as I'm concerned. What a bummer. But from everything I'm reading, from everything I'm hearing, from polls, from talking to people on the ground, people in this business and politics, they're saying that it's a runaway train, that they've done the messaging, they've gotten to the voters to get them to understand exactly what's at stake. Also, the way that Prop 50 is written, there's like a fail-safe that if Texas backs out of their plan to gerrymander, then Prop 50 goes away. It's conditioned upon Republicans doing what they're doing. It's an answer to Republicans. It's obviously not something that Democrats would seek out to do independently. Certainly not in a mid-cycle, in-between census years.
An additional shout out here from Boston Brian, who was recently your guest host, Jesse. So shout out to Boston Brian, who's another one who does fantastic work. And I don't think there's been an additional update as far as the estimated vote count here for New York City mayor. I think there was just an updated vote count for the New Jersey governor's race, and it looks like Mikey Sherrill is still significantly in the lead, so that's looking pretty good. I think it said 44% of the vote is in. Is that what it said?
I wasn't.
We're paying attention.
Spacing out.
We're paying attention to so many different things right now, you guys.
Well, it's what I was going to say about when we were having the John King conversation about CNN. He is so well prepared. This little ditty we're doing here took hours of prep work, and we didn't really have to fucking do anything. I guess I'm gonna curse.
I think you've already multiple times. Were you trying not to?
Yes,
because it's
I
not,
know.
Well, it's not working out for you. So, we did have an additional news package to show, I believe, right? There was another. Should we do another Andrew Cuomo clip?
Tony Tostada, thank you for the
wow.
super sticker. I don't even know what a super sticker is. I'm a really good YouTuber. But thank you so much. We appreciate that very, very, very much.
You know, let's ask this question. Is Trump crying or socialing on truth? You know, let's talk a little bit about how he is going to respond, right? So Spanberger won, the first woman governor in Virginia, by the way. And maybe it's looking like Mikey Sherrill will win. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully Mamdani wins. Let's say that there's significant wins here across the board for Democrats. How does Donald Trump end up tolerating that in the morning? Is he going to claim election fraud?
I don't know.
Is he going to claim election interference?
Let's see where he is right now.
Is he spiraling already? Has it begun?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Sean Duffy's done an incredible job. No, this is from hours ago. So he's just watching and just, I think just miring in humiliation because, the last few days he goes through spurts where he's like, this person is endorsed. I'm endorsing this person. My strong endorsement of this person, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And nights like this sting for Donald Trump because he believes he controls the universe with his thought, and he can't handle it. So in the morning, I think there will be a flame out. Absolutely.
We have a prediction here. He's going to respond with more threats.
Yeah.
As Republicans behind the scenes tell him to tone it down, which he won't.
I think that might be wishful thinking on your part to think that Republicans actually tell him to tone it down. I think we're long past that. He certainly is going to respond with threats. The continuation of the threats that he did with Mamdani, with his endorsement of Cuomo, saying that he's going to withhold federal funding, threatening. He's trying to coerce the votes, meaning the political speech of individuals, and also stifle their free speech by punishing them with money. It's an extortion, shakedown, violation of the First Amendment on every front with Donald Trump. And I think that will probably be ratcheted up in the days and weeks ahead. But there's not a Republican out there who has what it takes to tell Donald Trump to tone it down. They're here to protect him from his crimes, from his credible accusations of raping children, and all of the other unethical insanity that we're faced with on a daily basis.
We have a comment here from Daniel M1104. My late wife's side of the family is MAGA nutcases, and they aren't even trying to spin the blame with SNAP benefits.
Yeah. We're seeing that a lot too.
Well, something that's interesting is there's a lot of people that are Republican or Trump supporters who are on Medicaid or who are on SNAP, and somehow they're able to compartmentalize and tell themselves that they are different than the other people that they are sharing Medicaid and SNAP benefits with.
Like it's justified and necessary for them to have it, but all the other people are freeloaders. All those black ghetto people, they don't deserve it. I actually have a reason to be on it.
And it actually reminds me of the research on anti-abortion activists or people who are anti-abortion, who profess anti-abortion beliefs, who end up getting abortions. And they will make excuses. They will say that there's a reason that theirs is justified, uniquely justified in their mind, in a way that other people's is not. And I wish that we could somehow get over this as human beings. Whatever it is that is allowing us to say that we are somehow different than other people, our choices are somehow justified and others are not. Like, no, life is hard. People need help. Like, you need help. I need help sometimes. We're all in this together. We all need help. And I wish there were more people who used things like Medicaid and SNAP who would acknowledge that it's okay that they're using those programs, and that it's okay that other people are using those programs. And that's why we need to protect those programs.
Yeah, those programs don't create lazy non-contributors to society. I was on welfare as a child. I grew up on food stamps and free lunch at school. I grew up, listen, talking about eating the government cheese isn't just a talking point or a funny turn of phrase for me. I literally ate the government cheese. I was raised on that. It doesn't create lazy do-nothings. Brittany Page grew up, we both grew up in poverty, and we're both contributing members of society. We're not continuing to languish on public assistance programs. And even if we were, who cares? I don't want to curse.
Well, one thing that's been happening online is there's this debate over whether SNAP recipients should essentially have the autonomy, the ability to make choices about which foods they get. And we hear this a lot, right? It pops up every few years. Republicans are like, you shouldn't be able to buy a steak with SNAP benefits, even though a steak is protein. You can cut up a steak and make many different meals and prepare it in many different ways. Now there's this discussion over like oatmeal cream pies and whether or not you should be able to have snacks and sweet treats using SNAP benefits. And I talked about being on food stamps as a kid, and I put a photo of myself up as a kid in my community tab. You can go look at it. And I talked about how when I look back at that photo, I think she deserved a little treat. Okay. I think my mom deserved a little treat while we were getting food stamps. I think anyone who's on SNAP benefits deserves a little treat. And I don't think anyone should care or police what food people are buying with their SNAP benefits. People know what works for them. They know how to feed their families. They know how to prepare food for their families. They're doing that for survival, and they don't need someone judging them in the grocery store. I always get these comments and they're like, I see people's carts. I see what's in their carts, and then I see what car they're going to. I'm like, are you doing investigative reporting in the grocery store? You're like following people around. I have never seen what is in someone else's cart. I do not pay attention to is that like a unique problem that I have, that I'm not paying attention to what other people are buying? I don't have time for that.
People so often think that poor people are poor because they're bad with their money. No, poor people are poor because they don't have enough money. I don't know where this narrative that got swallowed whole by the American people. I mean, it's a Republican narrative, but it's just gross and wrong. Poor people know exactly how much money they have. They know exactly how much they have to spend. They're not frivolous with their money. They can't be. They don't have enough to be frivolous with.
This is a comment from Principal Scratcher 1. I ate government cheese too. I just retired Friday from my job of 34 years with a 6-figure pension. It was crucial.
Yeah.
Crucial to my family.
Absolutely. It is a program that we should all be proud to support, proud to stand up and help people who are in a tough spot in their life, who have less advantage than us. We should try to even the playing field at every chance that we can. I don't bitch about how high my taxes are. I never have.
So transitioning a little bit, this is Ms. Cherokee 70. I'm overwhelmed with happiness that Abigail Spanberger won Virginia. I needed this win to happen just to have some hope for everyone's future. And that is something we're seeing quite a bit, is people expressing that they feel hope tonight. And I think that that's really important in terms of us continuing to move forward and staying engaged in this project of fighting back against the fascist regime in the Trump administration. We've been seeing so many mass mobilization efforts with like the No Kings protests. And I think there's another protest coming up here in DC
on the 22nd.
On November 22nd. And, you know, I've seen so many people donating to food banks to try to make up for the failed government that is using hunger as a weapon against 42 million Americans. And you just see people stepping up all over, right? And I think that this is the positive reminder that we need, that there are going to be some wins here. There's going to be some wins. Democrats are winning, and we need that positivity. We need that hope.
This is from Boston Brian, who has a great YouTube channel you should follow. Mamdani's victory tonight. We're hoping for a victory tonight, Brian. Mamdani's victory tonight has Republicans shaking in their boots. Keep up the great work. Same to you, Brian, but also I think we should prepare ourselves for some pretty unhinged attacks on Mamdani, not just from Republicans, but from the ruling class among Democrats. If you watch CNN at all tonight, looking at Rahm Emanuel's face every time Bill de Blasio spoke, where he's just a disgruntled child, you're going to see all kinds of unhinged attacks on Zoran Mamdani, even in the face after months when his policies begin to work and New York is better off for his leadership. They're still going to be attacking him and creating distractions about why there is a good outcome in the city of New York.
this
Oh yeah,
this legitimately cracked me
I
up.
was going to mention it at the beginning of the show.
You both look like angels. I had to check if I was still alive.
This is our election night attire. We on the Thursday night at the Democratic National Convention last summer, everybody wore white, and we decided last election night on our live stream to wear it, and here we are once again.
Yes, so
wearing the white. We are, and by the way,
we're pretty angelic. Yeah.
We are angels.
Yeah.
I especially am a fucking angel. Let me tell you.
Grumpy Cat is like, guys, let's get to the business here.
I
Are
know.
there any election results?
They're not updating it yet.
Unfortunately, there's no
Grumpy Cat XX, or is that Grumpy Cat 20?
there's no election results to
Well, no, it's the same percentages.
provide to you yet. Oh, update here. 58% of the vote is in when New Jersey governor's race. Mikey Sherrill, 56.6% of the vote. To the Republican candidates, 42.9% of the vote. So that is still looking good. As that estimated vote ticks up,
Yeah.
Mikey Sherrill is still maintaining that lead, which is really
43.
great. We also have 43% of the estimated vote in for the New York City mayor race.
Right when they went to commercial.
And
Good times.
Mamdani is still ahead, is the good news. I think it was 95,000 votes ahead. So that's really good news as well.
My prediction, 9 to 13% win. 9 to 13 point win.
So that should be good for Grumpy Cat to have an update there.
So did the Mamdani is terrible guy, did he just disappear? He didn't come back with anything?
Yeah, he didn't.
Shocker.
Yes. Indeed. So
I'm not just staring off into space, by the way. I've got a monitor here. She's got a monitor here and on the laptop.
we're monitoring all the things.
I'm looking at comments.
This is about Jesse's attire. I like Jesse's pink suit.
Oh, yeah. I broke out I have a very, very vibrant one that's like 2 pink, 2 electric pink. And I wore it the other day, a few months ago, when somebody did something real North Korea propagandy about Donald Trump, and I broke it out and did my best North Korea anchor lady job. Okay, here we are. 52% of the vote is in. We're looking at about 50% for Zoran Mamdani and 41.5% for Andrew Cuomo, with 52% of the vote in. So that's a tighter race than I would like to see. Still, that's a bold, 50 to 42. That's still an 8-point lead.
Remember, Mamdani started about 97,000 votes ahead, and now he's 94,500 votes ahead. So, it's. I think he's still staying in a really good place, still staying in a very strong place.
And we haven't seen John King at the wall pointing out where the vote has yet to come in. Again, if that is Staten Island, then that means that Mamdani is in trouble, so to speak, even though we don't know exactly. I don't know how many votes there are outstanding in that jurisdiction. But it really depends on where the vote's coming in. What precincts are still yet to be counted?
Yeah. So we got this comment here. Cuomo is cheating.
Well, he certainly cheated on his spouses, but I don't know about cheating in the election.
I would be curious where this is coming from, and also just
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, what do we mean Cuomo is cheating? I don't know. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, you could give a little bit more exposition in your comments when you're going to make allegation. I don't know, allegation. If you're going to say something like that, I still want to hear from the anti-Mamdani dude.
I am really nervous about Mamdani. I don't trust New York voters after Adams or American voters in general. Racism really motivates a lot of people to come out of the woodwork. And there has been a lot of that in this race.
Sure.
I mean, even with Cuomo, even with Democrats really leaning into the anti-Muslim bigotry, it has been extremely disturbing, and you know, it's something that you would expect from Republicans, certainly, but to see Democrats really leaning into that is, I mean,
disappointing.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's something that is just tragic, and we need to get it out. It cannot be acceptable. It cannot be acceptable in the party. It's something that we need to call out and ensure is unacceptable. There's been a lot of celebrities that have leaned into a lot of this as well. They've made their positions clear and really revealed themselves. And so...
But they're also the same people who are denying that there's a genocide in Gaza when the death toll is over 70,000, 20,000 plus of them being children, innocent babies and children, certainly non-combatants. And that didn't move them emotionally to call the genocide the genocide. So it is people like Amy Schumer and who's the star of the
Deborah Messing.
Deborah Messing. Deborah Messing, by the way, used to be the star of the Will and Grace show. She's sharing libs of TikTok memes on Instagram. That's how far gone she is. And it's all predicated on their xenophobia about Mamdani being a Muslim. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and we have this comment from that Opal guy, let us not get cocky. We still have midterms and then 2028.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely true. We were actually talking about this earlier. There's officially been a call in the race for New Jersey governor. Mikey Sherrill is elected. All right. More good news, you guys.
I don't think clapping is very good with microphones.
I know. That's why I stopped doing it. You continued. It's your fault.
Well, that's awesome news. Mikey Sherrill defeated Jack Chitterelli, the guy who said that he's 100% MAGA. Well, New Jersey decided they did not want a governor who was so close to Donald Trump and 100%. Maybe if he'd said I'm 12% MAGA, it would have gone a little differently.
Yeah, so let us not get cocky. We still have midterms and then 2028. I think this is a great point. It's what I tried to speak to earlier when I was talking about one of Zoran's positive and powerful ads that he put out today, where he talked about what happens after today and how people need to stay engaged. They need to continue to do community building. They need to continue to get involved in whatever way that they have discovered, wherever they are most passionate, whatever issues they're most passionate about, to stay connected to those issues. And it is really important that we don't get cocky just because we have a few wins today. Just like how last year when people wanted to give up and disconnect and stop getting involved in politics when Donald Trump won, we can't tune out after this just because we feel like we're safe now. We know we're not safe. Hopefully we're all on the same page with that. And we can celebrate. We can take some moments to feel good, but we continue the work.
Well, but also this is a signal of things to come, because if Donald Trump knew how to course correct, if the Republican Party was at all interested in actually working for the American people, I might be a little worried. But now that they're doing the work that they promised they would do, they're delivering the results that they actually promised they would deliver, people are now like, oh shit, I didn't know that mass deportation meant mass deportation. Oh shit, I didn't know that tariffs meant tariffs. Now they're waking up to the reality of the mistake they made, and leading into 2028, if Republicans were to course correct, it would be a different story for us. They're not going to do that, though. And so unless the Democratic Party steps on their metaphorical dick, I think we'll be okay. But I take your message, that Opal guy. We shouldn't get cocky. We still need to do, as Brittany Page just said, we still need to do the work. We still need to organize. We still need to protest. We still need to keep that resistance model in our thoughts. But it's great. 2 female governors, one in Virginia, one in New Jersey. Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey and Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. Certainly not as progressive as I would like for either candidate. But in a Trump world, We need to be happy for what we get. Neither one of these people are Fetterman types. They're not Sinema types. These are both people who will do good work, maybe just more conservatively than we would desire.
Mikey wrote, I'm not sure why people are surprised about the blue racism. There were a lot of left-wing all lives matter types. Yeah, I'm not necessarily surprised that the Democrats would act like that. If I said that, that was definitely not my intended word. I feel like it's less acceptable for Democrats to be engaging in some of that overt bigotry that we saw during the Mamdani campaign. It's something that we typically see more from Republicans, right? With Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson sitting down, and then Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts coming out and saying, hey, I support this.
Yeah.
We should have an open dialogue about whether or not Hitler was a good guy.
It's still up for debate whether the Holocaust happened is a valid view that Republicans hold.
Yeah, I feel like there's the more explicit racism that you get from the Republican Party, and then there's a more implicit racism that you get from some on the Democratic side.
The difference is, Mikey, and I think you would agree with this, that mainly, largely in the Democratic Party, it's not looked upon as, we're just going to shrug and look the other way. It's accepted and embraced in the Republican Party, and at the very, very least, it's an abrasive thing among Democrats when someone says something shitty or even, a microaggression type of racism. But racism is racism. I'm not going to put it on a scale like, oh, that's okay because it's mild versus, Nick Fuentes Nazi puke bullshit.
Yeah, I think we don't need to say this one's worse than the other one. It's all bad. And that was my main point, was that we need to root it out of the Democratic Party. It cannot be acceptable for candidates who are trying to get elected of any party to engage in this overt kind of bigotry that was used against Zoran Mamdani.
I think it's what's going to backfire on Cuomo is the refusal to say Zoran Mamdani's name correctly. He calls him Mamdami. Like he knows his name. He's worked in New York politics long enough to have been around people of different ethnicities with not Anglo-Saxon names. Even Cuomo himself doesn't have a typical Smith or Jones type of last name, and it's purposeful for him to mispronounce the name. It's rooted in bigotry and racism and xenophobia and Islamophobia more perniciously, especially in New York, the city that was the victim of 9/11 at the hands of Muslim terrorists.
Yeah, so we're really hoping that we get some positive news here. There's now 60% of the estimated vote in the New York City mayoral race that is in, so it has gone up a bit.
Let's see. We can go back and see what the number was. So is everybody pretty happy with the results so far? I would hope so. I think that every time you do a live stream like this, so we're at 60% of the vote. We're looking at 49.6% Mamdani and 41.6% for Cuomo. So that lead for Mamdani is decreasing. Again, we don't know exactly which precincts are yet to come in, but he's still got a sizable lead.
Yes, so hopefully we have some good news shortly. We're probably going to be with you guys for a little bit longer. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we will try to get to them. And I like this comment: like and subscribe to push this out in the algorithm. That pesky algorithm.
Evil algorithm.
How maddening is it? It is absolutely maddening.
If you're in the chat right now, if you're watching this right now, click the link in the description of this video on YouTube to Brittany Page's channel, or Brittany will post it in the chat. Go to Brittany's channel and subscribe to her channel. She is a criminally undersubscribed, low amount of subscribers for the work that she does. That's solid, heavily researched videos I just feel like AI slop practically compared to the effort that you put in. So thanks for that. Appreciate that. It's really great.
Someone you don't know says that NBC just called it for New York. Does that mean NBC called the New York mayoral race?
Are you going to NBC News?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 60%, still 49.6, 41.6 for Cuomo on CNN. And we are probably 1 minute behind just based on how cable works.
Yep, they called it.
Called it for Mom Donnie?
NBC called it, yep.
All right. Ding, 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 ding.
MSNBC called it too, yep.
Wish I had sound effects, but I don't. Didn't prep those.
All right, guys. All right.
So it's a trifecta. Now all we're waiting for, and we're not going to wait for it. We're going to wrap here pretty soon after we take a few more questions.
Oh.
But Prop 50 is the other thing that we really need to come through in California to push back against, what do I have here? That's not very long, is it?
I am just absolutely thrilled. And now we have AP calling it for Mamdani.
Yeah.
I don't know why CNN hasn't called it for Mamdani. All these other news organizations have called it for Mamdani. But how beautiful is this news? You know, there's been a lot of debate over what about, do you really believe he can implement all of his policies?
Yeah.
Do you really believe he can do everything that he's promising or that he says he's going to do? You know, I believe that he's going to achieve great things. Can he achieve everything that he wants to achieve? I don't know, right? But here's what I appreciate. I appreciate that he is very focused on working class people. He is worried about people that drive cabs. He's worried about people that work in stores, that are up all night, that are working the night shift, that are trying to take the buses to get to work, and they're not on time, and that can affect their job. He's worried about things that actually impact people who are living and trying to survive in New York City. And he doesn't care about the rich people who are like, hey, he hasn't met with me. Why won't he meet with me? Why should he meet with you? Just because you have a bunch of money, he should sit down and meet with you because you're a billionaire? I appreciate that we finally have someone who's like, no, I don't need to sit down and meet with you because you're a billionaire and you want to meet with me. What do we have to talk about?
Right. Well, so at least we know now that from a systemic standpoint, stop and frisk is over. It's not going to be endorsed by the mayor's office in New York anymore. They're not going to be able to just stop black youth or black people in general or brown people in general and just frisk them to try to find something so they can effectuate an arrest. It's just harassment at its basis level, and it is over for that in New York City, among many, many other things that will absolutely benefit the lives of the citizens of New York City. Very excited about this. Put in the chat what you think the ultimate point percentage difference will be. I said between 9 and 13%. I think I'm going to it's still going to be higher than 9%, I think, but I think it's going to be between 9 and 11%. Put in the chat what you think it's going to be. We're trying to trick the algorithm. We're not going to, no, really, we need to see it in the chat. It's for the algorithm.
I think it's also so that Jesse can, at a later date, toot his own horn and have this on the record. Yeah, so that he can come back and say, hey, remember when I said what the...
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I never do that. I never do that.
No, you definitely do that. You definitely do. So yeah, I'm just feeling really, really good about everything.
I'm glad we're here with you guys on this live stream in our studio, but I can tell you that my second choice for me would be this Brooklyn, New York victory party at Mamdani HQ. It is going to be a wild one tonight, and the people of New York have something absolutely to celebrate. This is a big deal when both the Republican establishment and high-level members of the Democratic establishment came against Zoran Mamdani, and to have him win in the fashion that he won, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal, and it's because of the people of New York.
Yeah. He also put out a video where he was trying to get people to talk to him about the election a year ago. And like people, it was a struggle to get people to stop and talk to him. And then like juxtaposing that with today and like, everyone wants to stop and talk to him and say that they voted for him. It's just really exciting to have someone that you're excited about. So many times we're stuck in this situation where we're voting for someone that we're not necessarily thrilled about, right? But we're voting for them because the other person is horrific. And it's nice that Mamdani is someone that a lot of people were actually excited to vote for, not just because they were voting against Andrew Cuomo, but because they wanted to vote for Zohran Mamdani. And that's really exciting.
Yeah. We should highlight that comment, talk about it, and then take that down. That Curtis Sliwa looks like he took about 8% of the vote away from Cuomo. That's a big deal. I mean, that's a spoiler. That's a Ross Perot type action. That's makes a big difference in a race like this. We'll see if it would have been the decision maker if Mamdani wins by less than that. Then I guess Donald Trump's direction to not vote for Curtis Sliwa didn't really pan out.
Did Zohran win? I've been
Yes.
looking. Yes.
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 They just announced. Yes. Yeah. It's been called on multiple different media outlets, from CNN to the AP to NBC. Zohran Mamdani will be the next mayor of New York City, the Democratic candidate for mayor. So
I really just feel like that is just such a positive place to wrap things.
Yeah.
And there's still other results coming in. Again, we're going to be watching California, but that's not going to come in because the poll is going to close at 8 p.m. in California. We're watching Proposition 50. But we're not going to stick around for that one for you guys.
Nope.
We appreciate you so much hanging out with us. This has been really, really fun. It's you know how fun this is when it's actually good news?
no shit. That really does make a difference.
It makes a huge difference. But we really appreciate you guys.
So do us a favor. Please go subscribe to Brittany Page's channel. I mean, subscribe to this channel too if you're not already, but if you're on Brittany's channel, we did the simulcast thing.
Yes.
If you're on Brittany's channel, I'm very different from Brittany. I'm a lot more of a bombastic name caller. She's more of an evidence provider and doing the research and doing the homework and providing the receipts. More receipts than I provide anyway. And you can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, Dollemore Daily. Subscribe to Brittany Page's channel, The Page Perspective.
Yep.
Follow our podcast. Subscribe to our podcast wherever podcasts are found. I Doubt It podcast. We are retooling that whole thing right now. This has been an awesome night, a victorious night for Democrats all across the board in the three major races from New Jersey, New York, and Virginia. And as I say at the end of every video, we'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.
Bye.